and this is Will's Tarot Path. I hope you're all doing well this evening. Not quite sure how I'm doing. I'm really tired. It's the 3rd of July. Tomorrow's the 4th, and we'll of course go see some fireworks. And I hadn't planned on doing a video this evening. I was going to do one tomorrow. Yesterday I actually made one, recorded it, 30 minutes, and I didn't press record. So anyway, that's fun. I'm not the only one that's ever done that, though. We've all heard people talk about how they've done that. I received, though, the one I did yesterday was was an intro to my Marseille deck study, but the one I'm doing tonight is a package I received. I was sitting in the living room with my wife, and we were watching the pre-4th of July show on television. And she said, "Did you get a package?" I'm like, "Well, we always get, like, you get packages, I get packages." "Yeah, but nothing right now that I knew of." Well, she'd seen the front door camera go off, and we'd just received a package. I had no idea this was coming today. I got notice of a package delivery in a text message, but I went to check the post, and it was in my mailbox. So I figured that was the one. Not the one. This is the one. So I will tell you that I did not know. Let me see if I can do this without showing my address. I didn't black it out. All right. So this is what the front of the package looks like. And I did not know, just by looking at this, where it had come from. It said Los Angeles and some other things. But it did not say from whom. It just says SwiftX, delivery completion, whatever. So this package, no idea what it was. So I opened it. So this is not an unboxing per se, but I wanted to show you how well this was wrapped. It's in this outer envelope that has this thin bubble wrap casing. And then it's in this wrap that has these very thick air cushions, 360 all the way around, not just a sleeve, not just a tube. And then when you open that up, the contents inside are in another package with air bubble wrap. So I mean, this thing stands on its own. That's how sturdy it is. So I was very impressed with the packing before I even knew what it was. And I only assumed it was a deck, but I could feel there was a book as well. Still, it hadn't clicked with me. But ladies and gentlemen, what I received today in the mail was the Pixie's Marseille Tarot. And we will be going through this. This won't be a super long, well, I don't know if it will be or not, but I don't think so. But we will start by going and looking at what I have received. I have the book, I have the deck, and I have the cloth. And as soon as I took it out, my wife said, "Oh, that's beautiful." I was like, I just can't believe it. I did not. It was a true surprise. And that's one thing I know some people don't like not knowing when packages are coming, or, you know, they get the updates, but there's no detailed. Oh, this is unbelievably soft. It's like, it's velvet. I forgot it was velvet if it said that. Oh my gosh, that is a dream. And I'll open it up. I'm not gonna be able to get the whole thing in the camera because it's larger. But look at that. That is, and then every corner and the border and the edge all the way around. These clouds that Pixie was so well known for. So just absolutely beautiful. I'm thrilled. And I will be using this cloth. Maybe even as a regular, it's not like other velvets. It's a really It's hard to describe, but if you get yours, you'll see what I mean. But I'm so glad that I invested that bit more for that. All right, so let me see if I can just zoom in without messing up my camera too much. Well, let me go to the book first, because this is a good height for the book. So let's look at the book. Pixie's Marseille Tarot by Alejandro R. Rozan and Chris Onario. All right. It has a little reading on the back here, explanation. Pixie's Marseille Tarot was born out of a particular curiosity. What might a tarot de Marseille look like through artistic vision of Pamela Pixie Colman Smith? With this in mind, Alejandro R. Rozan created a deck that preserves the structure of the Tarot de Marseille while embracing Pixie's graphic sensibility and visual language. I think, and then it goes on to say more. I'm not going to read the entire thing to you. I don't want to spoil it for you because I know some of you have gotten this as well. A visual guide to the imagery and meaning. I mean, just everything about this book. It's not rose petal, but it is a nice matte, soft. It's a very luxurious feel. The cover is incredibly thick, but then look at the inside. Absolutely gorgeous. This paper right here it's like that magazine weight. I don't even know how to describe it a little bit, but those of you who, like, you can see the glimmer on it, and you know that sort of squeaky sound there tells you what type of paper it is. Really beautiful. First edition, 2026, and then it has a full part here on the contents, introduction, and this is an introduction from Chris Onario. I think that's how, Onario, Onario, or Honoria, before the cards. How tarot found me. So he goes in to discuss his journey with tarot. And then the first deck he saw was the Tarot de Marseille. Was the visual language impressed him forever. When I saw it, I had the strange feeling of standing before something ancient, timeless, and magical. And then he goes on to discuss his first impressions with Marseille, his work with it, or so I have not read this yet. I've skimmed it a little bit. Two ways of looking at the tarot, and he addresses both, how they might be a little similar and different. The Marseille Tarot deck, a first bridge. The Rider Marseille Tarot deck. And so this is about how he combined these artworks. I love that he has this full page image of Pixie, some of her other artwork. Just absolutely beautiful. I would love to get a collection of her artwork, books or something that has all of that in it. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. So, and this goes on to talk about his one card. I do not know why, but there is one card I tend to return to whenever I begin a new deck. I do not believe it is something I decide consciously. It simply happens that way. That card is the Popess. And so he goes in to discuss his relationship with that. Observing, deciding, and drawing. He goes through the process for that. And then how to approach this deck. And then for the major arcana, he does have a little introduction there about what's seen and what's not seen, what to look for. But we have the Fool. And we have his whole write-up here on the Fool. And then some keywords. Now he does that for the entire major arcana. And then the pips, it gets reduced a bit more. well, quite a bit actually. But I love that he dedicated all this to the major arcana. I don't have this one, The Secrets of the Waite-Smith Tarot from Katz, Marcus, and Goodwin. I do have the Robert Place book, the Tarot, History, Symbolism, and Divination, and Rachel Pollack's Tarot Wisdom. All of those, I'm sure the two that I don't have are excellent, but I recommend these books. Go in your library. They are great references, and they are great just to reread. They are fantastic, as one who has them, not just because he said so. Now to the deck. I'm going to pause here for a second, readjust my camera so I can get a little bit closer, and 2 seconds. And I am back. So let's take a look. The box. This is actually, I'm sure it was in the description. I forget so many little things about the production description in Kickstarter decks, but this is actually embossed, so it's raised a little bit with that silver stamping. It's beautiful. This is even embossed, little Pixie, ode to Pixie signature, everything. All of this is embossed, raised, however that works. This would be the back, of course, the back design. And then again with that. So then this again has something very similar to what's on the back of the book, born out of a single artistic question about combining the two. And it goes on from there. So let's open it up. This is beautiful. Pamela Colman Smith's signature appears in this deck as a symbolic homage to her artistic legacy. It is not intended to indicate authorship or impersonation. And I'm glad he put that in there because in some of his previous posts when he was showing work, he received a little bit of pushback from people in their comments on that. Not a lot. I think most of us, well, I for one, and I think a lot of us saw it as an homage to her because her signature over time became not only her signature, but a symbol. And even though it was hers, think of it more like a, what's the term? Anyway, but think of it like a symbol. And adding that to there says, hey, this style of artwork is not completely my own. It was highly inspired by Pamela Colman Smith, and this is how she would sign her name. And I think it only right that this symbol that she created and everyone's grow to love is included in a deck that is here to honor her. And I see nothing wrong with that. Once again, the inside of the deck is here. This pattern. I'm sorry, it's the back of the deck. I want to say something about this magnetic closure, though. A lot of times, a magnetic closure, you can feel they're like two little brown discs or two discs. If I press hard, I can feel them, but you don't see them, you don't feel them. Maybe over time. But I love that he went that, and this is a little bit thicker, I think, than what it normally is. I love that he went that extra mile and did just a bit more. Let's take a moment to look at the rest of the box. Take these cards out. Now, I did undo these earlier because I didn't want any surprises when I was taking them out and then making sure that everything was nice and orderly. So the inside of the box is just as well done. This camera just won't stay still tonight. I'll tell you what's happening. I keep bumping my table, and normally I don't do that. But I just wanted to get this out. Just look at these flowers. Okay. The box is just, I'm so glad we met this goal, this stretch goal, because this is just the icing on the cake, really. You know, they say you shouldn't gild the lily, or, you know, they used to tell women, well, I'm from the South, I don't know if this is what they tell every woman, but, you know, before you walk out the door, remove one piece of jewelry. Gentlemen the same way, you know, about how, if you're dressing formally, about not the tie colors or things not being too garish. Everything here was perfect. The deck itself, this gilding, and I don't know, it does have a shine to it, but it's not like, I don't want to call it matte, but it is, I almost want to say, it appears to me to be gray. And I love that. I love that it's not like in your face, shiny, blaring gilding that you would see on some decks that are fine, because, you know, it's just a little extra bling for them. This deck doesn't need it. It needs that understated, muted sort of coloring. And it is a gilding, but it's kind of like a mix between gilding and edging, so it's not as in your face. It's absolutely beautiful. These cards are like Bada. They are just amazing. And I thought at first, when I saw how they moved, that they might be like some of his other decks, that sort of a linen, but they're not. It's a really nice, smooth, it's not strictly matte, but it's not glossy either. It's somewhere, it's not even in between, because I can hold it right here under my light, and it takes me a while to even find the light there to show a glare. So they don't have much of a glare unless you're purposely trying to get there. It just, you know what it reminds me of is the 1JJ Swiss cardstock a little bit, the way it feels. It just has that texture. It's really nice. And then we have the cards, the backs. I love those. I'm so glad he went with this design. So let's go through these. The Fool. And you can see right away how he incorporates both, with the feather, the pole, the stick, the dog, everything here. And the dog is in the Rider Waite as well as this Marseille, but this particular dog is more recognizable with the RWS. The Magician. Some of these lend themselves to incorporate both the RWS and Marseille easier than other ones. Here's one of our cards, Juno. I love this. I love that we were able to do the extra cards. He was able to do the extra cards, and we were able to get them, I should say. I would love to say I had a part in the design. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Look what I can do. But the Emperor. You're just gonna have to forgive my camera. I don't have it set up properly because this is a rush, and I don't know if you can see it moving or not, but if you do, I will try to not bump my table and not make the video look like a drunken sailor. Jupiter. So we have Juno and Jupiter, along with all the others. The Lovers. I should say the Lover. Now, I heard an interesting statement that somebody was interpreting this as one was his mother and one was his wife or fiance, the girl he loved. And he was deciding, did he need to stay in to help take care of his mother, or was he free to go take care of his wife? I thought that was interesting. I'd never heard that. Have you heard? I don't know. I never heard that. I now can't remember the video or the book in which I read it. Maybe I'll have to go back and look in Yoav Ben-Dov's book. Maybe that was it, because I was recently reading that one. I don't think that was it, though. The Hermit. This Hermit card. These cards, they're just beautiful. Look at the line work. The face expression. I mean, come on. The wheel. Strength. Absolutely beautiful. The Hangman. I will say this, that I didn't know what it was when I opened it, and then when I saw it was open, then I'd already opened the package. I went ahead and opened the deck just to look at it, but I just did one flip through, and I thought to myself, you know, this artwork is done so well that if you're used to reading Rider-Waite-Smith, you can do it like that. You can use that system. If you are used to using Marseille, this deck is drawn so well to present the Marseille in these cards that you could certainly read it like you would any other Marseille. And then the flip side of that is if you read both systems, you can totally let your intuition run wild with it. And maybe some cards you would read Marseille, and some you would read RWS, and some would be a little bit of both. Now this is an extra card here, because then we have 2 Temperance. So that would be one choice. I really like to see the difference in these. The Devil, 2 Devils. I love this one. I like this one too. Don't get me wrong, but I love this throwback to the more ancient, the earlier decks. I don't know if ancient's the right word, but earlier decks, the earlier artwork. So I think that's beautiful. The House of God, the Tower. And then we have the Lightning. And if you have the Metro Nua Tarot, you know it's called, in Italian it was La Saeta, I believe. But I'm so glad we got both variations of this card. I love this one. This is the one I always use when there's a choice. The Star and the Star. Once again, could be similar meanings, but 2 completely different pieces of artwork. And I like, of course I love this one, the normal one. This one is the one I see less of, and I like the design of it with the compass. It gives me that feeling of that one image, The Seeker, not anything close to the artwork or the design or the picture, but it just gives me that idea of this alchemist looking beyond what is here to what is out there, and how do you cross over into that. And I just love that idea. 2 Moon cards. Again, throwback to the earlier decks. She is spinning on a distaff, spinning thread on a distaff. Beautiful. I can actually do that. So, in a way. And Judgment. And the World. And then we'll slowly, not slowly, but we'll go through the pips. I'm not going to rush, but I'm probably not going to read all of them one by one. But I will point out ones of interest. So these I love because you see immediately the blending. And this is what I mean. The 2 of Wands, you still have this seawall or portico that they're looking out on to the water. And then you still have the traditional 2 of batons wands. And so you could really take that either way. Same here. The hand reaching out, holding over with the same sort of background. The 4. I see it right away. My eyes, this is how I feel about it. This is done in a way that if I look at the card and I just look at the batons, that's what I see. Because everything else is just background, except for this, what's in the floral, that's the flora that's right up in front with them. But if I look beyond the wands, then I see the RWS. So what hits me when I first look at this card is the Marseille design of the 4 of Wands. But if I wanted to use this as a RWS deck, then I can look beyond the wands, notice the 4 of Wands, and through the wands to the scenery in the back. Same with this. The hands are a little bit more prominent, but I see the wands first. So it really depends on what hits you first, maybe as to how you read it. I know what hits me first, and that is the pips. This one would not change for me much because the 6 are still in order. The 1, instead of coming through and piercing the center of the 6, is still off to the side doing something on its own. It's got to be incorporated to the 6 to find balance, which is when it goes to the 8. And we'll talk about some of that when I start doing my Marseille series and speaking more in depth about numbers and not just surface meanings that we use or see a lot of times of 1 or 2 words. The numbers, using the numbers to read the Marseille is a huge help. And it's my opinion that whoever started reading Marseille in sort of as a divination tool would have had somewhat of a decent education, and they would have known the history of various philosophies throughout the world, and one at the time that would have been well known through the Renaissance all through would have been Pythagoras' theology of numbers, so to speak. His entire belief system was based on the fact that all of existence and eternity, the universe, could be defined using numbers. And in that, he wrote, I won't say created because I'm sure it had many influences through things he learned and studied, but he was able to take what he had learned and information from various traditions, I'm sure, and organize that into a belief system that really works as far as describing the universe using numbers, the ascent 1 through 10, the descent 10 through 1, and I'll get more into that. That's one thing I'm talking about. So I'll be talking about numerology based on the opinion that most Western numerology came from the school of thought or school of thoughts that would have a basis or some knowledge of Pythagoras and his belief systems. And I think that'll be really enlightening. It won't be crazy complicated. I've read a lot and I've listened to quite a few lectures on Pythagoras, and I think I have a very good grasp of what his beliefs were, and I think I'll be able to do a decent job of that. For a long time I had a hard time giving myself compliments, but by gosh, I think I'm a pretty darn good teacher. It's my career, it's what I do for a living, and I work with people that have challenges of various shapes and sizes. and I have to find a way to communicate and explain difficult concepts to them every day. And so that's why I say that a lot of times when you see people talk about numerology or get in depth with it, it says, whoa, that's way too much. I just want to know what the numbers mean. And that's what I want to focus on. Maybe a little bit of how it came about, but I'm not going to get down and dirty with every number, but I want you to have a basic understanding of what each number represented historically in this system and how that information can help you build your intuition for reading numbers in a Marseille deck or a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, Pamela Colman Smith deck. How's that? So, absolutely beautiful. Page. And we are coming up on the end, the Queen and the King. This is an absolutely beautiful deck, and I'm very happy to have it. I'm so glad I backed it because I almost did not. I did want to see, we'll do a quick comparison here. I have a universal weight tarot. And we'll compare the sizes. How about this is an older deck, as you will see momentarily. See the sides are all faded and whatnot. This is something I tried new. I was going to show you this. See how a couple of these cards are really super white? I decided what would happen if I took a white ink oil paint marker and edged the cards back white. And it really came out quite nice. So the white one's there. If I decide to keep this deck, then that's what I'll do. So they'll be all nice and white like they were brand new. So, size of the cards. Here we go. So, standard tarot deck, same size. And then deck thickness. We will do that. Look at it this way. And you'll see part of that is due to the extra cards, but there aren't that many extra cards. So part of it is due to the thickness of the stock. But I swear to you, there is nothing stiff about this deck. And it flexes back beautifully. I'm sure it has black core. I forgot what kind it was going to have in it. And then I don't normally riffle shuffle, but I will do one of those. The only thing this might be an issue for, because the deck is so thick, or is thicker, is if you have smaller hands. And I'm starting to get a little bit of arthritis in my hands. So this is why I don't riffle shuffle a lot, because to do this, it puts strain on these set fingers. And then also have some carpal tunnel, because all I do is type all day long. But, beautiful. I don't bridge. Don't know how. Never learned. I know how it's done. I've just never taken the time to practice enough to be able to do it. But I typically shuffle like this. And it's absolutely gorgeous. They just slide into each other. It's amazing. I just love it. Let's just do one quick card. Let's see here. Maybe I'll do a quick little interview. Maybe I don't remember. There are 3 questions I usually ask. I had to write them down because I always get them mixed up and forget the order. But one is, how do you feel about being here? Oh no. What kind of questions will you be good for? What type of work will we do together? And those 2 questions seem similar, but they're not if you think about it for a second. Questions are deal with you know, that whole layout, what pattern you're going to use or what kind of spread you're going to use. So I guess I should say what type of spread or what type of questions spread will you be good for, will work with us, and then how will we, what type of how will we work together, and how do you feel about being here? I always ask the deck a personal question. Some people may think it's silly. I like it. So, questions, working together, and how do you feel about being here? So we will be asking questions about, or spreads about feelings, emotions, fulfillment, am I on the right path, that sort of thing, for achieve these sort of goals, emotional goals. The 8. So what type of work will we do together? This deck is going to help me decide what emotional baggage I need to sort of, I've outgrown, or I don't need anymore, to leave that behind and move forward to become more fulfilled. And are you happy to be here? So I would say my deck is very happy to be here. And this is what I do when I get a new deck. And so far, it has not let me down. I've either get decks that are give me a card or a sign that, oh yeah, this is going to be good and fruitful and plentiful, or ones that go like, meh, you know, doesn't really matter to me. And then other ones are like, I like being here, but you're not going to like what I have to say. So I just like doing that. And, you know, do I put a lot of stock into that? I didn't at first. The more I do it, the more it seems to be clicking right along. And I'm finding it, I've not had one deck interview that's been even slightly off a little bit. And that gives me hope that I'm on the right path with reading. This is Pixie's Marseille Tarot by Alejandro Rozan. And it just came today, and I can't wait to see everyone else's readings. Or flip throughs and readings. Why not, you know? Do a deck interview. Let me see yours. So just absolutely beautiful. And this cloth, when you feel this, if you got it, when you feel this, I'm sorry if you didn't get it, but it really is everything. So Alejandro, if you're watching this, muchísimas gracias, señor, por todo el arte fabuloso. Thank you. Hope you have a wonderful night, and I will see you next time.